Yo, welcome back to Wook Plus. What's up, Kev?
I
Mike, how you
remember.
doing?
I remember
I'm
that.
great.
You remember the
That's
memory
fantastic.
at Dick's?
I remember that opening sequence. If you look
That's
closely, you can see me slumped over in a chair after days of being at Dick's.
You could see
that's a
T.
hell that's a hell of a second line right
I
It
love it.
is. It's not dirty. It's not a rebirth, but they're playing a rebirth song.
there.
Anyway,
Doesn't
we
matter.
digress. Right
Doesn't
off the
matter.
top to the left.
So yeah, let's get overall take on the show, and then we'll go through and dissect it. I kind of like starting that on with these is like big picture. What'd you think, Kev? Let's start with you.
I thought that the first set was really interesting, really strong set. I thought the second set was very atmospheric. I thought it felt together up until Tube. Like I don't think Tube fit the rest of it, but the rest of the set was very atmospheric, and I liked it for what it was.
Tube was fucking dope, though. I'm glad they
It
did
was
it.
super dope.
It was really
It was
good.
super dope. It was a great tube. But
Yeah.
I sort of agree that it could have been a different song choice in that slot. And I was surprised they played tube right there. But then, of course it was a fantastic jam. It was great tube, great
I
fucking
always
tube.
think Tube. I always think Tube first set for whatever reason. It's just a
No,
first set song for
I
me.
feel like that's a youth thing, not a fish thing, though.
It's
Right.
Mike,
Because
what do
when
you
it
think of overall this show?
Um, I was pretty pleased. I feel like there's one thing that I was coming back to during the show. I think the band does read tweets, and there was a tweet last night about complaining about. It was actually it was directed at Kuroda, and it was about him. Can you please de-emphasize the LEDs? I'm being attacked by them, and then and so, but then the thing is that they opened the show with Axel at part two, and man, don't shine that thing in my face, man. I'm serious. And so I thought that was great, and I feel like Axel at part one is dead.
it
It's
is,
been
and that's
it's
very
been
sad. It
If
I
sucks.
it is, and I wait when they start the tune. I'm like, are we at the pool or where are
Mm.
we? And
I'm headed to the
Trey
bathroom now.
Trey's been at the pool with this one, but I thought it was great. I mean, I thought the first set had a lot of. I thought the flow, the placement was excellent. I thought the best choice of the first set was the Reba and the timing of in that slot. It was like this is the perfect choice for right now, and they killed it. The fugue was nails. I think it, and I said this earlier, but I think it's probably the best Reba I've heard in like 20 years. And then they got spicy
that's
with
a
it in the
bold, that's a
jam.
bold claim,
I'm
though.
serious, but I'm serious. I can't think. I mean, there was one in Augusta, Maine, in an encore where they went into Manteca. It was great, and there have been some well played Rebas, but generally the composed section is just a little bit off,
Well,
toward the end of it.
I thought
But
the
anyway,
beginning of this Reba, though, they were a little off too. They settled in.
well, what's really funny about that is I actually tweeted, I was like, this is the fastest Reba they've ever played in like 20. And then as the jam settled in, they slowed it down.
Well,
it
and once
was,
they settled in and slowed down, I think it got a lot cleaner and locked in. But there
it
was
did.
this portion in the beginning that was a little chunky. But you know,
I agree. I agree. I agree. It might have been sort of similar to the segue into Isabella
right. Well,
in
why don't
some
we go
ways.
back to the top and work our way through? We're jumping
Let's
all
do
over
it.
the place.
We're a bunch of morons. And
Hey man, it's like 3 in the morning. Like,
I know. I mean,
jeez,
Fish hates the East Coast, which
Rod,
is
they hate us
great.
so much. All right. Well, we touched on Axel. So then I feel like the set really started for me at the moment dance. Like I feel like we could have just chopped off Axel and
Yep.
whatever, it wouldn't have mattered. But that was a very solid version of MoMA. I felt like.
I
Uh,
felt like the moment was them settling into the groove, but the show really changed for me with the Wolf fans
yeah.
after that. That was like the highlight of the set in a lot of ways. I mean, it reminded me of the Mexico Wolfmans, the recent one from 21 maybe, that they
Really
released.
beautiful jam. They like really
Really beautiful,
beautiful.
really awesome. Like they were covering a lot of ground, in that, and yeah, no, it was fantastic. Like it totally lost me in the jam like several times. So it's like, wait a minute, we're still Wolfman's here, but um, yeah, it was fantastic. That was where my attention was really peaked. But the first, I mean, it had been very well played. The moment was awesome. The lights were ridiculous. There was a shot that, I think Kuroda's got so much depth and layers of texture to the light rig. I've never seen that before. It's sort of a new
The
thing.
modified rig is really cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
totally. Let me come over here. Sorry. But yeah, no, I was noticing that a lot during the Moment Dance, and then the Wolfman started up, and I was thinking,
The Moment Dance is functional. It does what it does. It's never any. I think Trey Band does more with it than Phish does anymore.
Yeah, but
I
it's
think-
a good, important function, though. It gets people dancing. I think we lose that on
Yeah.
Couch Tour, right? The importance of that song, but I think it's a very important instrument in the arsenal. Gets everybody dancing, and then it sets up the rest of the night very well.
Well, the other thing is recently that tune has been sort of like a musical. They've used it, at times to reference jams. The past couple of years, I feel like the Moment Dance can be like, oh, the whole jam. Like here we come back to the Moment Dance again.
Yeah.
There's a recent show. It's like, it just seemed to be sort of one of these. I don't know. Yeah, it was like it kept getting referenced back, and Trey did that a couple times tonight later in the show. But yes, that was sort of like, let's get the groove started. Let's have some fun, loosen up.
I think
And then
let's
Wolfman's was unfinished, right? And I feel like the Isabella was a found thing. One of those, it probably wasn't planned out before. They just ended up there.
I can,
But then-
completely agree.
Then he mentioned Hendrix, so I don't know if it was in the back.
Right,
of his
I was gonna
head.
say he's
Yeah.
a local musician. Like it seems awfully planned to me. Although
Well-
maybe they just had a couple in their head. They're like, we're gonna do a grunge tune or a Hendrix tune or something, and wherever we go,
I mean,
it's a
the-
local musician.
I mean, the nerd in me was freaking out that they played Wolfman's because there was that whole news footage about the ferry
Yeah,
Road-
run aground.
run aground, and then they played Wolfman's. Like, okay, that's funny. But that was actually a serious situation. It's happening in real time. I can't believe they're checking their Twitter feeds. Let's play Wolfman's now.
I
But-
think there's just so many lyrics and so many songs that you're gonna have.
You can
these
force
go-
it. You can force a song one day.
You can relate to anything. Yeah, that's
especially
totally
with
true.
Phish.
But I totally agree. Like, I feel like the Isabella was a unplanned landing spot that they dealt with, and they dealt with it pretty well.
Well, and they kind of made it a phenomenal segue, right? Like they had two choices
Right.
of like trying to force it into something else or just going with that incredible segue, and I think it was the right choice.
Abandon
Totally.
the idea of going back to Wolfman's.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, not to jump ahead, but like besides that, the segue of the show was the segue into Piper.
Yeah,
Later
the
on.
Caspian Piper segue.
Holy shit! Yeah, oh my god, yeah, it was fantastic.
But
Anyway.
at this point in the set, Trey left us with Leaves, and I know Tim is a big fan.
I am. I like
And
to-
So
um,
I had some thoughts during that too. I feel like Leaves has turned into like a new. It's like Roger 2.0.
yeah.
It has a lot of that feel to it, and when Trey came in the guitar solo, it definitely sounded like, oh, Roger's back. They're not singing a verse every, a line every verse as they do with that, but it's got a very similar chord progression.
I mean,
yeah,
he's
but
gonna
Roger's
want.
lyrics are better. Roger's lyrics are 100 times better than Leaves. Sorry.
Well, they
But
and then
they're
they
gonna
did
want the set to breathe. They're gonna play something there in that spot, and
correct.
we've heard
That was
Roger there, hundreds of times. I'm glad that they have other things that they could throw into that spot. And I personally like that song a lot. Like I like
Yeah.
the lyrics, I like the melody, I like the singing on it, like that whole Bowie inspired thing. I think it's
Totally.
fits
And I
that
think
spot
it-
really well.
And I think one of the most like underrated jams of last summer was that Leaves jam from Jones Beach. Dude, that shit was was hot. It was way out there
W-
and
Completely
evil,
unexpected too. Like holy
completely
shit.
unexpected. Yeah, totally.
Uh,
So, but yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It's like they had to play something that was, you know, in a different gear at
They
that
had to
moment.
play something in order for
and
it to
that's
be
why
a
they
show.
play
They had
two.
to play something.
Well, when they usually know when they usually don't know what to play, they play the wedge. But they played that the night before.
Right.
Well, Kev has a theory that tube is the go-to when they have no
Yeah.
idea.
Trey looked. He looked down, and then he looked around. Then he was like,
Oh,
"Tube."
wait. We gotta
I mean,
clarify this. We are definitely live. Don't worry, be slappy. We are live right now.
it'd be slappy.
Don't worry, be slappy. All right. Anyway, you want to move on to this Reba again? I know we touched on it, but
Yeah.
It had a
So
little
I
extra.
mean,
It had a little extra mustard in it at the end. They got out there with something that wasn't normally there for 12, 16 bars.
a type,
no, I think
almost type two. I mean, I don't think it was full type two, but it was
no,
something. But it
close.
was something a little extra.
Yeah, no, they changed the key. They did a little modulation, and they sort of referenced the MoMA Jam sort of feel groove for just briefly. But the thing that was so cool about that was, you know, they were playing around with the jam, but they were really smooth in and out of that idea. So like
Yeah.
returning back to the Reba Jam to peak it out was smooth. It was really nice. It reminded me a little bit of I guess the Hood later on, but
Yeah, and we
anyway.
answered one of the questions. So, like, as Phish fans, we have these questions that get answered during the shows. Did they whistle? Did they slow build? Did they jam tube? And like all these questions were answered in different ways tonight. And the first one was yes,
Totally.
they
They
whistled at the
whistled.
end of Reba, and thank goodness because that
It
really
seems like
solidified it.
the whistling is back. I think 5 out of the last 6 times we've gotten some
Yeah.
puckering.
Hey man, I don't make up the questions. I'm just an
I-
observer.
That's
I
always
did-
been my litmus test. If they don't whistle for Reba, they could can it and have done something else. It's only worth it if they whistle.
Yeah, no, that's it.
I mean, Reba's like the ultimate camp song, so they will hopefully whistle. Yeah.
Oh, and then all right. So then to finish out the set, they had a chalk dust, which I feel like everybody was expecting it just to be a standard in and out
It
chalk
did.
dust.
Right.
But I don't think it was standard, unless you're about to argue with me. But I really loved
No.
what they did with that jam. There was a little blissness in there, were bleeps and bloops. There was a pretty decent sized climax on the outro.
Yeah.
And I thought it was exceedingly tight for Phish these days. Like I thought it was very tight. I really liked what they did with the chalk dust.
I totally agree. No, I feel like Chalk Dust was one of the more recent tunes that was easy to tag the outro jam onto, and they've been doing it for a long time. You know, like the Vegas, like the Vegas 18 version. You know, that went into the whatever that shit, the Jimi Hendrix, the other Jimi.
Fire.
Anyway,
Right.
no,
Uh-huh. You know, the outro jam
You know, that-
it's been like
Yeah.
4.0 thing though, like Hershey. They did it in Hershey in
Yeah.
21, and almost every chalk dust has had that. And the song itself no longer has a jam. It's like 5 minutes like the album version, and
Right.
then it's the jam.
Yep. And it's been like, I think that's been a pretty dominant theme of 3.0 in general. It's an easy place in the structure of a song just to tack on some exploration. And Chalk Dust is like, oh, let's come back to it. You know, and this brings up other points actually, is that why does Trey feel like he has to continue to end songs and come back to the chorus when it's awkward, as opposed to just tack on a jam? And I think that, I mean, it'd be interesting to be a fly in the room, like in band rehearsal, because I'm guessing that might be some point of discussion in general.
I think it was definitely a conscious decision. Coming out of the pandemic is when I think we noticed it the most
Yeah.
intensely. That summer was it 21? It
He
felt like
didn't.
every song he finished. There
You
wasn't
know
a
what
single
happened?
jam they didn't finish.
You know what happened was he didn't want whoever does the set list on Fishnet to have to put a 1 after the songs anymore. So he was like, I'm just going to finish them so they don't have to put
Saving
unfinished every time.
keystrokes. That's
Yeah.
what it is. All right.
He's a good guy.
But
He's looking
no,
out
but
for
it
you.
was. I mean, but that jam I thought was totally unique and surprising in the moment.
It
and
fell
I was-
apart for a few minutes. It was cool. I liked it.
No, no,
It was
I hope it's.
deconstructed. I've decided that falling apart is a negative connotation.
All right, so
Deconstructed is a positive connotation.
can we just talk about one thing really quick? And then Mike Gordon was awesome in the mix, like all
Again,
fucking
yeah.
show.
That new bass.
And yes, but considering like the recent well, Mike turned down in this mix and not in this one and blah blah blah.
I wonder if
felt
they
like-
hired another person.
They
if
did.
brought
Well,
somebody on.
no, tonight I was reading what's his name was doing the mix for this. Sorry, I'm not
The guy
bringing
that
the goods.
produced Sigma Oasis.
Yes, correct. Him.
We all know it's him, but I can't remember his name either.
Correct, but he was actually doing the live mix tonight.
Vance,
during-
right? Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
Vance. Yes, correct.
Vance
Vance
Powell.
was doing the mix.
Vance
and
Powell.
Vance Powell. Correct. Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank
it's
you.
late.
Cool.
It's like 3 a.m. Forgive us.
I mean, what are we supposed to do? We're just trying to keep it together here.
Oh.
But no, I thought Mike was like super prominent in the mix and sounding great. I think he played that new bass the whole show.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, the
That's
thing
his
about
go-to now. The Modulus is done. You'll see that maybe when his solo band for some
Right.
song, you know.
And he's got 2 of these by the same designer, right? And one is yellow. And the other
Serek,
one's like
Serek, is it Serek?
Yep.
the thing about Mike in the mix, though, it's not like rocket science. It's just the fact that they're mixing to both the house and the stream now.
That's
the problem
what I'm
was they
saying.
hadn't been doing 2 proper mixes, and now they are.
Right.
Yeah,
Because they were
tilting is
called
sick.
out. I mean,
Yeah, because they got called out. We did on the channel. It was one of our most popular videos.
Well,
We had like
know what?
10,000
Right
views on
now,
it instantly.
One
I
of
mean,
the 20
for-
people watching is Trey. He always
mean,
tunes in.
I mean, the thing is that it was even evident after that run at MSG where it was like, wait a minute, what's wrong with this mix? You know, just listening back to the shows, and then they were like, oh no, we're gonna re-release the mix. Here
Yeah.
we go.
All right.
Anyway,
I'm gonna keep us moving.
Not to
I
beat a
wanna.
dead hole.
Yeah, so can I do it?
Yeah, you
Go.
do it. But wait, before you do it, Kev, I want to just bring up something. I want to bring up something you'd mentioned, like 3 days ago?
Phish is going to phone it in this year. It's the 40th anniversary, and they're just going to be like, whatever.
I wanted to see how long it would take before I was like, yeah, no, you're totally wrong. And I think tonight was the night.
No, I don't think so, but we'll see.
You think that was phoned in? Come on.
Anyway,
All right, do the set
like,
break.
subscribe. If you're coming here later, leave a comment. We love to interact with everyone. If you're in the chat. Also, we'll be here for the next 6 nights. So that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week. We also on Wednesday are doing the lot. We're bringing back the lot. We're going to have some guests on old school, bring back the old intro, whole 9 yards. And today earlier we had Hugh, which is Tim's band one. Make sure you find that video, check it out. Let your friends know they did a really good job for their first time out.
Thanks, Kev. Appreciate it.
Nice.
Good read. All right, so set 2. We start off with Free. A great way to start a set. You know, good standard way to start a set. I don't really have anything to say beyond that.
No, I felt like it was almost expected on some way, whether it was to open a show or open a set. And my first thought was back to Blossom. Of course, it did not quite blossom like Blossom did. But I think it set a really nice tone for the set.
I really, in my head, I would have had Free and Chalk Dust switched if you had told me those 2 songs were
interesting. Yeah. No, you got a point there.
And then they go into Ruby Waves, and it's funny with Ruby Waves is every time they go into it, I forget that it's like a great jam vehicle these days, and I'm always disappointed. Just like my gut reaction. I'm just being honest. My gut reaction is like, and then they usually do something.
Visceral reaction.
The visceral reaction is like, but then it's usually decent once they get, into it.
It's totally true. I mean, even the one, honestly, even the Ruby Waves, like surprisingly, like from the 12/30/19 show with the big tweezer,
Yeah.
the Ruby Waves that followed the tweezer is fucking out and bugging and really good, like really quick. Like they get to the space in Ruby Waves very fast. Like
Yeah,
it's one of
Yeah,
the
I
you
remember
know
that.
like a song like Mr. Completely or Light, maybe the way it used to be, where it was like 2 or 3 minutes of verse and chorus, and then we're in it. The drop
You
is in,
you rem- you,
imminent.
rem- you remember the movie Trey did, the Inside My Mind or whatever?
Yeah, me and my
Oh yeah,
mind or
yeah.
whatever.
Me and my mind.
There's a scene in it where they're listening to Ruby Waves in the studio, and he says this song isn't going anywhere. The day before the movie was released, they did the Alpine Valley Ruby Waves. I still say this is the biggest troll
So
Trey has ever done, are the lyrics to that song.
it might be, but honestly, like I remember seeing Ghost of the Forest at the Anthem,
At the
and it
anthem,
was
yeah.
and there was an excellent show. And when they started Ruby Waves, it was in instant in my mind. I was like, this is the song that will
Really?
jam. I mean, you could. It was immediate. It was very obvious. Like Trey loves this. He's
I
crushing the
really
lead.
coming out of Ghost of Forest, I was all about to run. I was like, I want to hear this song like 100 more
Yeah,
times.
That
I
was
just
the home
wanted it
run for
directly
me.
injected in my veins. But
I've got
no, yeah,
friends that are.
Ruby's good.
I've got friends that are in the same exact. Like I would say the split is true. Like I have friends that are very much in the about to run, like raw ripping guitar solo. Sort of like in the Character Zero mode. Um,
It's their
but
most
yeah,
Pink Floyd The Wall song. It's like Pink Floyd The Wall outtake or something.
I
Yeah.
know it's so heavy too. It's very heavy tune for sure.
So that is not the song they played out of Ruby Waves, though. They played Prince Caspian, and I'd say that Prince Caspian might be the superior transition, even though you guys are going to say the other side of it was. And I, for one, love Caspian in the middle of a set. I know it's slower, but
Well, I think
I
into
mean,
Caspian and out of, well, especially out of Caspian, but I think this whole section was beautiful segues
yes.
and transitions. But out of Caspian and the Piper was definitely the better segue.
I mean, the whole Ruby Waves Piper cast. I mean, the whole Ruby Waves Caspian Piper, excuse me, segment was the meat of the show. Easy, and um, I've sort of come around on Caspian, probably in part to like Magnaball and the Pittsburgh one from 2017, where it's just become this. It's gonna be a crazy jam, and you're gonna love it. It's a typical like one of these Phish songs. Like you might not like these lyrics, but just hold on.
Yeah.
but it's got a great
There's a
lyric
lot of
because
those
it's
now.
it's got a story attached to it. If you've
Oh,
read
I
the
know, I
book,
know.
you know,
It's totally
I
true,
call
but
it.
it's got this like it's also got this like sort of history attached to it.
I call the music very lush. I could hear them having a string section with it, or
Yeah.
No, it's
something.
true. It's totally true. And it's a rocker and I think it's a great tune. But I will fully admit that when I first fell in love with Phish, I was not into that song at all. Hated it. And it was sort of like, what is this new shit that they're playing? you know. But as I've gotten older and the interplay that they get, like especially between Trey and Mike and Caspian, rival is slave in a lot of ways. So no, I'm not going to shit on it anymore.
And
It's a
it's a
song
much
they love to
easier
play.
song. And besides Slave, it's a much easier song to put in the middle of a set. You can't
It's
put
only
Slave somewhere, it stops and starts.
right. And Caspian's like 2 chords. It's
And
like
it's
the
so
Grateful.
open, right?
It's like the Grateful Dead.
That's what I
in a lot
want.
of
I want simple. I don't need to think. I don't need to think.
Oh
anyway,
man,
yeah. So after Caspian though, but
we
the
got
end
a
of the
Piper.
the end of the
No
Caspian
build. It was a
jam.
no build, but
I
that's
know,
all right.
but I honestly thought for about 8 seconds that they were going to try to attempt a slow build because it dropped really low and everybody's like coming real, together and it's real light in the instrumentation.
They were just
But
fucking with
but
you though.
but yeah, no, Trey was right on in with that lyric, and I was like, "You motherfucker!" It's like you got no patience. Yeah, Anyway, no, it was great though. I mean, that was this was the highlight of the show for me, like in terms of what was being displayed musically. So, but yes, I was it was a rush to the lead again, not a slow bill. No,
No, but still very cool. And
very
I think
cool.
coming out of Caspian and the way they transitioned through this whole thing was great. Um, yeah, and then
Circus comes to town. Yes.
great choice to breathe. And I guess that's kind of like your version of liking a breathing song, right? And
Yeah.
it is. It's a great choice.
And the lyrics to it are just fantastic. I mean, it's
Did
got
they change it up? Not the lyrics, but did they change up? Like, was Phish playing something different with it? I feel like he was being a lot more playful with it. He was doing this weird, like, 16th notes thing and opening the hi hat just a little bit different than I think it's.
With Train Song?
No, it's Circus
With
comes to town.
Circus.
Oh, it's Circus. No, so this yes. No, there was some different stuff happening as they got into that for sure.
Yeah, he
For
seemed
sure.
super playful with it, but I don't know. It was a good choice. And
Yep.
then we got a jammed out tube, and I love tube. I honestly, even if it's not jammed out, I'm happy to catch it in a set. But this one, I thought was particularly good. I mean, would you consider that one jammed out? I thought it was jammed out.
Absolutely. No, I tweeted at Jammed Out Tube.
It was
said-
pipery. It had some Piper themes in it.
Yeah.
There were some. I mean, but it got out quick, and it was definitely Jammed Out Tube
Yeah.
for sure. For sure.
And
Tube's in the
Trey
jam in
nailed the
like a
landing.
minute.
Trey nailed the landing. It
Nailed
wasn't
the landing.
awkward, you know.
No, when he calls back into the blues, when it's smooth back into that transition, I'm very happy, and it was not a car crash or like.
I've heard people say on Twitter that it was better than sex. when
Ah.
I
Trey
mean-
gets it right.
I don't know if the person who said that knows what the other thing feels like. So
Pretty much, that's what my.
I mean, if
first
we're gonna
thought
leave it
was.
at that,
Oh my god.
I heard sex feels like this, but have you ever? Okay,
You
and
ever heard tube? All right, and then we waited in the Velvet Sea, which we could have not. It was another. I don't
You
know.
knew we were going to get something like that. I mean, they can't help themselves.
But they just
they
did
have-
circus. They had just done circus.
I know, and when they were, here's the funny thing: when they were playing Circus, I was thinking, "Oh, now they're going to play Antelope finally." But then when that didn't happen, and they started playing the Velvet Sea, I was like, "Oh, Hood is so on the table right now." And I actually heard a little bit of that earlier in the show. I mentioned that, but yes, when they're playing Velvet Sea, it's like the opposite, the Dow to Velvet Sea is Hood right now. This ends the show. It's happening. You can it was so predictable.
I think it was a
not-
misstep, though. Honestly, I think it's the only big misstep of the night. I was very
Ooh.
happy with the
Ooh.
whole show. I thought Velvet Sea was a misstep. I think it's Kev's fault. He has this ongoing bullshit thing where he's just jinxing Phish with the fourth quarter. Oh,
Yeah.
you motherfucker! Like, and it's
So-
not wrong, but like they have had, some fourth quarter slip ups, but. I think it was saved tonight with Hood. I think Hood salvaged
So
it.
let me just add a little bit of a side note to that, because my first experience with them not delivering in the fourth quarter was at a show in Deer Creek in 2000 when they did Cross-Eyed Birds of a Feather Piper. And I was like, okay, the next song has to be Mike's Groove. It just has to be. And it was not. And it was Velvet Sea, and it was like, oh my god, what the hell just happened?
Oh, I cried
Velvet
out.
Sea's been fucking up fourth quarters for 23 years.
For 23 years. 23 years. But no, tonight was okay. When the Velvet Sea is breezy, and there was something else. The circus. I think there were like I kept hearing like Trey reference other songs that they'd played in the show tonight. Like
yeah.
Like Bug was referenced in a way in Leaves. It was like a Roger, and then it was like a Bug.
I thought they were
feel.
gonna do I thought Trey wanted "What's the Use" tonight.
And what's the use? Yes, correct. I heard that as well. It was all this sort of mixed in this like this blender of like where are we gonna go? But yeah, no, I kind of agree. I feel like they had to have some kind of a landing spot. I'm glad they didn't play Drift while you're sleeping, and it was sort of a
I
breezy
needed that for
velvet.
bingo.
It was a breezy velvet sea, but yes, Hood saved that the end of the set. I felt like they stuck the landing with that.
Yeah.
And then the encores I kind of thought were kind of a little bit of a
It
mess.
was
It
weird.
was weird. It was a strange
Yeah.
encore.
What the hell was that?
I think it was like they picked straws, or like everybody just like threw in what they wanted to play, and it was totally
I
random.
mean, man, I don't know. It would,
Trey was like, "Damn, I haven't given Mike a song at all the past 2 nights." Hey, train song, Mike. Come on.
no, and that's a
Probably.
fun. I mean, that's a funny thing. I've actually got a like train song. My sister-in-law Daniela, when she met the band in Europe in '96, was on the bus with Trey after the one show. It was just like the circumstance situation. They were like, "Hey, have you written any new songs about trains?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, we just wrote this one. You want to hear it? It's called Train Song." And they play Train Song. And so I've got a nice little, sort of special attachment to that. It's a good tune.
Yeah, I like it.
I
I
like
mean,
it.
I
Brian
like
Robert-
Brian and Robert too, and
It's a
I like Santos.
fantastic
It was just a
song.
weird encore. That's
Brian
It
and
was
Robert's
weird.
a fantastic tune.
yeah.
I was kind of surprised that Antelope didn't sneak back in to the mix or like a first tube or something. But yes,
No, they
Yeah.
closed
Correct.
with Stadium Rock. They did their big arena rock number. It's the last indoor show at tour.
Look,
The other
hold
6
on.
are outdoor.
Give Trey some credit. He didn't play Character Zero because that's all.
Well, that's the original arena rock song, but Santos is his new toy. He
It's
loves
his new
Santos.
baby. Oh, he loves it. Totally
He
loves
does.
it. Totally loves it. But I think they did a great job of saving themselves for what's coming too.
Well, Greek and Hollywood Bowl, they're gonna have some big shows, and we'll be here 15 minutes after encore. So go ahead and subscribe, ring the bell, so you don't miss any of our awesome Wook recaps. Thanks, Mike. That's
Thanks,
fun.
guys. Love
We'll
you guys.
talk to you next time.
Yeah.